A new report claims fewer Australians are starting their own businesses and that those are not hiring staff. Melinda Salento is the Chief Executive Officer of the Committee for Economic Development of Australia, or CEDA, who authored this report, and she joins us now from Melbourne. Good morning to you. So this report found businesses with employees have been declining over the past 2 decades. Why is that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, one of the things we wanted to look at is what's happening with the creation of new businesses in Australia. It's such an important driver of economic activity, innovation and jobs growth. And what we found is that there's been a really long-term trend decline in the proportion of business owners in the workforce. And actually the rate of growth of new businesses starting up that employ people is at a 2-decade low. There's lots of reasons for that. I think the most important point to note is that the aspiration to start businesses is still there. People still want to start a business. They think about that at some point over their career, and young people coming out of high school are also pretty keen to start a business. So I think what we see is some structural barriers to that. First amongst those, I think, is the regulatory burden in Australia.
It's pretty interesting that the proportion of sole traders in the workforce is on the rise. What's behind that?
Yeah, we have seen, while we've seen the growth of businesses employing people continuing to fall, there are still people starting their own businesses but not employing people. Now, there's a couple of things sitting within that. Obviously, people looking for second jobs and a source of income in a cost of living crisis. Digital platforms enabling people to kind of go off and do their own thing, but also what we call side hustle activities. So that's still there, but they're not the sort of things that drive the sort of dynamism, innovation and jobs growth in the economy that we'd like to see.
Melinda, the report also found that 27% of the workforce had some sort of side hustle. I think this is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? And obviously, you know, technology is helping to enable that. But to put it into perspective, on average, most people with a side hustle kind of job or opportunity earn less than $10,000 a year. So it's on the rise, but it's still not delivering a huge boost to them in terms of income.
And what are the main barriers? You mentioned there were some barriers to starting a business. What are some of the main barriers that you're seeing in 2026?
Yeah, well, as I said, we're seeing the decline in business startups. Notwithstanding people wanting to do that, we're seeing it across all sectors and across all ages. So that tells you that it's structural. There's something going on that's kind of getting in the way of that. As I said earlier, we think we really need to look at the regulatory burden here in Australia, not just to start up a business, but the ongoing compliance costs to grow your business. We think that you need to look at access to finance. For many people starting up a business, their home is often used as collateral. As home ownership drops, we need to make sure that alternative sources of finance are there. And with the budget coming up, it's important to note that there's actually a lot of government support for these businesses starting up, but that's not changing the trend. So the budget presents an opportunity to really review those programs and make sure they're delivering bang for buck.
Melinda Salento, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks so much for your time.